Ashley Harling from the Outward Bound Trust, and I'm delighted to be joined this morning with Dom Blythe from EDF. Thanks ever so much, Dom, for taking the time to chat to us today.
No problem.
Dom, maybe we could just start off. If you could just tell us a little bit about your role at EDF, what you do, how long you've been there, etc., and just so we can learn a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm Dominic Blythe, Early Careers Manager for the nuclear-related programs, early careers programs that we have with EDF. I've been with the company for just over 21 years and 1 week, actually, thinking back to when I started my apprenticeship. So my role is to provide oversight and management of all our programs that we have for EDF in the nuclear business unit, develop strategy, build new programs and those kind of things. So that's what I do for a living.
Great, 21 years. Oh, you're catching up with me then. I've been there a bit longer than that at Outward Bound. But you started as an apprentice, so you'll have seen quite a lot of change, I'm sure, at EDF. What are sort of the highlights for you in terms of things that you've seen develop and change over the years?
Ooh, I think it's changed massively. The industry and the company has changed hugely over that period. I think we've moved to a more safety-focused environment as a company and an industry as well. Companies went through a lot of changes with the energy sector more recently. So from me being an apprentice, moving through different roles within the company, I've had a lot of different experiences, challenges, and things that's really progressed me into looking after these programs like I do today. So lots of experiences, lots of challenges, and a lot of good and happy times with the company, which is why I've stuck with them for 21 years.
Stayed. Yeah. And just in terms of why you became an apprentice, I mean, just for young people out there today, I'm sure there's a lot of people who, with what's going on with the economy, etc., are considering their options about why university, why apprenticeship. So what was your route to apprenticeship? Why did you go down that route?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I left school. I would say that I wasn't very academically strong, if I can say that, and I was more practically based. So I like to see how things work. I like to understand them. I'm a person for detail to really understand how things fit together. So naturally, from a maintenance point of view, it was a nice, easy fit for me to go into. So I applied for the apprenticeship. University wasn't really something that I was interested in doing. I was more of a worker bee rather than an academic, I would say. So that's why I kind of chose the apprenticeship, because I preferred the more hands-on learning rather than sitting in the classroom, if you like, and reading textbooks. So
yeah, and it's clearly worked for you in the position that you're in today.
Yeah.
So Dom, in your role now for those early talent development programs, and as part of that, you choose to include Outward Bound in programs. Why have you decided to take that approach and use outdoor learning as a part of them?
So I think the way that our programs have been made up, using the Outward Bound to use a philosophy of safety and making it relevant to young people, I think is a different dynamic to bringing somebody into a new industry. I think that using the outdoors as an educational environment to move from school through to work and to bridge that transition gap relates more to young people than coming straight off the streets from schools or universities straight into the industry or the nuclear industry, which can be quite a daunting prospect. So, yeah, a few things that we like to do in Outward Bound is, try and create our values, our culture, our safety first approach, to be able to then roll that through nicely into the work environment, because the ethos is the same, just the environment is slightly different, I would suggest.
Yeah, and I mean, so your apprentices, basically, they start with their induction up at our Eskdale site with Outward Bound, and absolutely the kind of ethos, values, the culture, the way EDF want their employees to work is very much part and parcel of that course. And do you know from chatting to the apprentices, etc., do they find that quite unusual not to be starting in their workplace, or do they kind of just get on with it and accept that's part of it?
Yeah, it's good to get that feedback from them at the end of the week, because they say things to us like, I can't believe my first day has been in the sunshine in the Lake District. Hopefully they get the sunshine each year, but we can't book it.
Get the sunshine.
Yeah, the sunshine in the Lake District in this environment on that first day of employment, which is, the Outward Bound is their first day of employment. For us, we do it straight from day one. So yeah, the feedback is brilliant. It's tremendous, and I think the way that the apprentices from different business units bond together to create a network, a social network together, allows them to transition to the workplace a lot easier as well. So I guess
that must have changed since when you were an apprentice.
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah. We didn't do any Outward Bound courses or anything like that. So moving from A levels is what I did to what they do now.
Yeah.
That transition and getting to know other people that you're going to be spending a year or two with in residential accommodation and building that social network is brilliant. That's exactly what we need.
And that network that they do build when they're at Eskdale, that stays with them through the apprenticeship, for young people today is the sort of the bread and butter for them, isn't it? They are used to that networking, etc. And I think doing that right at the start must really help in terms of retention and keeping the apprentices together and having that support network, and not just relying on you as their managers, etc., to help with that. So EDF operate clearly in a highly regulated environment, and I know that's part of your role, to develop the safety culture that you need for them. How do you do that, and how do you ensure that culture is there for the apprentices to work within that regulated environment?
So, I mean, it goes back to day one for me, really, with Outward Bound, that we talked about having that safety culture, the values, that networking, really our environment that we work in, it is highly regulated, but the regulations are there to protect the people and the public, ultimately. And it's the people that we want to create good, solid foundations of attitudes, behaviors, and that culture with. So, starting at Outward Bound with safety talks, how they approach gorge walks, for example, that you guys do, through to how they would approach working at height, whether it be high ropes or whether it be working on a power station or up a wind turbine. looking after one another, questioning the safety approach is the attitudes and behaviors that we really need from our people in the industry, not so much apprentices, but going through into future roles, because that's hugely important. We want people to put their hands up and say, I don't think this feels right. Let's stop. Let's make an assessment. Just like what you would do in the outward bound. That's absolutely critical to what we do, you know.
Yeah. And I guess that's around, you know, people's perception of risk. So that perceived risk versus actual risk, and getting the young people to understand the difference. And so exactly that, the activities that they participate in as part of their learning whilst they're outward bound really can highlight the links to the workplace, as you just described. And just, you know, being away on a residential for many young people post-pandemic, that is in itself quite a big thing for them to do. Bearing in mind that many of us didn't leave our homes, our villages, our estates, wherever you live. How has that changed? Have you noticed that that's been more difficult to get young people engaging in the residential straight away? I mean, obviously this is the start of their employment with you. So it's even, you know, you've got two things going on there, the start of an employment and, you know, you're being sent away on a residential. Have you noticed any changes to that from pre-pandemic? And if so, how are you managing that?
I think the main thing that we've noticed is around what people come with. So I think there's a difference between pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, with the resilience is one, the social skills to be quite generalized, and self-confidence is one thing that we've picked up on more recently, is young people are not coming through with that same self-confidence as what they once did. And I think that's a result of the pandemic, based on being at home and learning from home and not having the ability to learn in the classroom, stand up and do presentations and whatever it may be. So I think what we are trying to do and will continue to do is build the individual's self-confidence, so that they can approach a task in a safe manner and feel confident enough to challenge, going back to my safety thoughts before, but also developing those social skills so that they can ask a team of people for help when they need it. And I think that is providing them with a bit of a safety net as well. So one thing that we do like to adopt is the providing apprentices and graduates with a safety net where they can make certain social mistakes, and they can, you know, do that in a safe environment, and we can coach them rather than dismiss people straight away, because we do understand young people within the early careers environment. We do understand that they come with a certain amount of different and diverse backgrounds, and you know, we just need to understand that and be able to accommodate it, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess that's all part of the kind of support package that you put in place for your apprentices. And exactly so, you know, that social interaction, young people's ability to be open and honest has changed, and so as employers, we've got a kind of duty of care to make sure that we are adapting practice, to meet that. And when these residentials are happening, obviously for management from EDF to go and visit and spend time and see their early talent on the programme, immersed in those experiences. I know you yourself take part in that, Dom. And what value do you as sort of senior managers take in experiencing that with the young apprentices?
I think, yeah, I've been up Helvellyn probably 7 times over my tenure involved with apprentices
Be able to be an
over the
instructor soon.
years. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I get a lot from that week that we do with you guys at the Outward Bound. There's a number of different angles with it. One is we get to understand young people and the people that we are taking on in the program in a different environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's hugely
Yeah.
important for us to then look at the residential aspects and how we can support them through the program, because we get a lot
Mm-hmm.
of insights from that first week where people feel relaxed, they feel like they can talk to us, which again is probably building into the second point of that environment is just really important to build that trust and relationship within for us in early careers between the apprentices, so that they feel they can come to us and talk to us if they do have any issues, so that we can provide that support network. And I think that's extremely valuable for us as a company, and also understand what you guys do day in, day out, so that we can start feeding that business context into it. So some early
Mm-hmm.
careers people might think that, well, this is just a high ropes activity, whereas given that business context, to say you might be up a wind turbine or you might be working at height on scaffolding, and these same behaviors, these same practices is exactly what we'd expect in the workplace. And I think that's hugely important for us to participate. And we are blessed that we've got such an established link and relationship with the Outward Bound that we can do that,
Yeah, I think providing relevance and showing building that rapport and trust and an open approach, I think is really important, especially to support young people through the early stages of their careers. There's value in it. I'm sure at the time when you think, 5 days out, that's going to be quite painful in terms of catching up on the work that's building up in your in tray, but does come good. So just, you talked a bit about when young people leave the world of education and they enter the world of work, coming to you at EDF, and obviously you yourself having been an apprentice and making that transition into an early careers program. If you were giving some advice to a young person today who's maybe thinking about it, what would you say that there are, let's say, 3 things that they could do very differently that would prepare them better for that transition from education into work?
I would say that don't be scared about it. We as an early careers team understand the movement and culture change between school, university, college into a huge working environment that, as you said, highly regulated, lots of rules, lots of people. So I think we understand that. So don't be scared about coming into the industry. Embrace the change, I guess, because building confidence, looking at how you learn and the different aspects of the business. Oh, there's my lights gone off. The different aspects of the business, because although we are the nuclear industry, we have a huge amount of work and different jobs and different apprenticeships that we can support through young people, whatever they may desire. So it may be that you are good with your hands, so a maintenance person is something that we do. Administration, finance, clerical, up to design, engineering, cyber security. We do all sorts. So just becoming open-minded, and I guess, yeah, probably the
that's
last one is,
really critical.
I think the last one is probably be willing to learn in a different place rather than be in a classroom, because in my experience, I would say it's a little bit like your driving test, where you'll learn the minimum on the course, but actually when you get out into the big bad world, that's when you'll really start learning. And I think that's where we come in as early careers as well, to provide that support. So
yeah, have an open mind, really. That's great. Well, some really solid advice for young people there, and hopefully it'll help one or two people along the way on their career paths. Dom, it's been really lovely to chat to you this morning, and hopefully we'll have shared a bit of insight for others. Please enjoy your weekend. Hopefully some marshmallows are winging their way towards you, and you have your real campfire. Thank you very much, Dom.
yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.